of this later, you're welcome to. We're going to cover a lot. We're going to try to keep this to 1 hour so I can honor your time. If we have to go to part 2, that's totally fine. There is a lot to this. This morning I threw together a few PowerPoint presents, like a few pages of a PowerPoint just to show you kind of like in the beginning, but we're going to get into my Google My Business. Who here has Google My Business? Raise your hand. Nobody? Nobody. Oh my God, you guys are like babies. I love it. Oh my God, you're going to be just blown away by this. So we have one other person who showed up. Good morning, Janet. I'm going to get right into it because we're 2 minutes past the hour. I want to honor everybody's time. Just as a reminder, I am recording this, so you guys are welcome to a copy of it. I'll make sure Hillary gets a copy of it. Just really quickly to kind of share who I am, because you guys probably haven't met me before. I just spent some time talking to John and Stephanie on here. My name is Stewart. I literally celebrate 21 years in the business in February. I can't hardly believe I've been doing this almost half my life. I have a very small team. I have one other licensed agent. I have a licensed admin and a part-time virtual assistant. And last year we did just almost 40 million. And I did all listings last year. I didn't touch a buyer. I have an agent on my team who does most of our buyers, but I'm helping her get into listings as well. She does about 60% buyers, 40% listings. I have a passion for listings, by the way. So a lot of what I'm going to talk about with Google My Business is how did I create a lot of come list me calls, okay? So who likes come list me calls? Who likes just phone calls from people saying I need help buying or selling? Everybody does. Okay, so let me just share my screen for a second, and forgive me, I did not put much time into this silly little PowerPoint presentation. I just wanted to go through why are we even here this morning and stay on track with that. And then I'm going to show you guys my my screen. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Let me just open this up. Again, I put no effort into this. I only have 4 slides, and then we're going to jump into like hands-on stuff, okay? Okay, so why are we talking about Google this morning? So I want to tell you about my experiment here. So over a year ago, I realized I've never been a big Zillow fan. If you guys pay for Zillow leads, that's totally fine. I have a lot of people I know who pay for Zillow leads, do well with it, but are also realizing that that is kind of building your house on a foundation of sand. Can we all agree with that? Like, we don't know what they're going to do in the future. They've been kind of, you know, they're expensive. They're not. It's not really where you want to build a lot of your business. You should try to find ways to do it. So I have this mission in my career. Like, I don't want to give any money to Zillow. I don't want them hosting my reviews. I understand if agents use it, but about over a year ago, I went on a crusade with Google, and I realized that I wanted to put my reviews in a place that made the most impact, that I wouldn't have to be subject to the Zillow. And I actually have been for years an Angie's List user. I've housed most of my reviews there, but they also charge you by the month for that, which is fine because I get, you know, maybe 1 or 2 calls off that a year that turn into something. But I started hearing rumblings about Google. I had a Google My Business. I thought, okay, Google is a great place to go. And I literally started diving into Google My Business and understanding it at a high level. I even paid for a coach to help me learn it at a faster pace. And I got to a point where I was like devouring every YouTube video on Google My Business I could find. I was like scouring the earth for every tidbit to help real estate agents specifically. And I got so good, I was better than the guy that was I was paying for. So the thing about Zillow is Google is it's not Zillow. It's totally free to some extent. We'll go into that. It is the most powerful tool for a small business owner to leverage. So this is like, if you're a plumber, if you're a local business owner, this is like where you should be. And most business owners who are local, who are trying to attract customers, will tell you that Google My Business, if they're doing it right, or even not right, some of them are just by luck getting a lot of calls off of it. So it is honestly more powerful than your own website. So if you actually do implement some of the things I'm going to share with you this morning, it's going to be one of those things where you're going to like totally giggle with what happens. I just taught this to 2 agents that I have at EXP down in Southern Oregon. And one of the guys just dove right in, and within 1 week had a $900,000 come list me call. And so really putting this into play, really doing this, it's super, super amazing. So what were my results just in the last year? So I did I've closed almost $3 million in Google business. In the pipeline as we speak, I have 2 in escrow, and I have almost a $2 million buyer. They're 1.6, and then they're going to turn around and sell their listing. I had another listing I got when they Googled for real estate agents. They had gotten a mailing from me, and then they said, oh, you're on Google. Okay, great. So not too shabby to sell $5.76 million off Google in approximately a year, right? So this is where, if you really work, and by the way, about 5 months out of this year, I totally screwed up my Google My Business. So I was wondering, why are the phone calls stopped? Why am I not getting it? And I figured it out. I can share that with you as well, because you can screw it up. But if you just feed the Google machine, it will feed you. Okay, so let's get into it. I'm gonna stop my screen share here. So nobody here has a Google My Business, is that right? You guys know what it is?
No, no idea.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Have you guys ever gone into Google and typed something like plumber near me, and then you see a 3-pack up above, or you see ads for Google? Do you see, you know what I'm talking about? Does anybody here use Google that way? Like, do you just go in like restaurants near me, plumber, all that stuff, right? We all do it, right? It's like, that's what 90% of people do, is if they don't know a particular vendor, contractor, realtor, that's what they're doing, right? Google had just came out in November with a change in their algorithm. They actually haven't done this since 2016. It's called vicinity. So localism is key, right? So local, local, local. Oh, we got Hillary who needs to get back in. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen and get my my Google thing open here. Hold on 2 seconds, please. Okay. Okay, can you guys see my screen now?
Yes.
So this, in effect, is the back end of the Google dashboard, okay? There's 2 things I'm going to share with you this morning, and the first one is Google, of course, but then there's this other thing called the LSA ads. This is the local service ads, and you need to do both for a power pack punch. But you need to do Google My Business first, because in order for your local service ad to work hand in hand with your Google My Business, you need to set up your Google first. If you do the other one first, you're going to screw it up, and then your reviews and so forth will not coincide. Does anybody here put their reviews on any website, like a Zillow or Rate My Agent or any of those kind of things?
Just Facebook.
Facebook, okay. So does anybody use any other review sites? Do you guys get reviews after you guys close escrow, anything? Okay, so first of all, let's start with that. We are in a review-based economy. Would you guys agree with that? Like, if you're on vacation or if you're local, you're always checking out reviews. You want to know if that restaurant's good. You want to know, like last year I hired a remodeler and I did a lot of homework on like reading all the reviews, even the good and the bad. Bad reviews are not always bad, by the way. You don't want them, but it also helps the consumer understand like what actually specifically happened with somebody. So a lot of this is going to come down to, you guys are going to have to put some energy and effort into this when you do it. But let's just talk about setting this up first. So when you go to Google, if you type in my name, and I'm going to stop share here for just a minute because I want to show you what it looks like when you are a consumer. Okay, I'm going to reshare the screen here. There will be a lot of bouncing around to the screen shares, but I'm trying to show you guys what this all looks like. Hold on. Okay. Okay, so if you guys were to go on Google right now and hypothetically type in my name here in Portland, you're going to see down here on the right, you see this whole caption right here. You see my face next to my for sale sign. Do you guys see this?
Yes.
This is a Google My Business. Are you guys familiar with that look when you're on something?
Yes.
So here's the great news. Every single one of you guys can start your Google My Business today. It does not cost you anything, okay? And this is going to be the beginning of something for you guys. And this is huge because when you guys are being looked up online, which most of our consumers are, right? They're all looking at like, who am I hiring? Who am I interviewing? They oftentimes type your name into Google, right? And oftentimes your name shows up on all these different websites that you might be associated with, even Zillow, which I have nothing on Zillow. But what you want them to do is go over here and say, oh my gosh, there's Ann. There's the person we're meeting with on Thursday to list our house, right? Oh, she's got 50 Google reviews, 5-star, awesome. Oh, look, her website link, directions to her office, hours of operation. If you scroll down, you're going to see products. Right now, like this is a big one we're going to talk about because you can actually Google juice your listing inventory, which brings sellers and buyers, okay? Down here is a category. So homes for sale in. I'm taking advantage of the Google juice words like homes for sale in. Like if you guys go to, I don't know your specific neighborhoods or areas, but if you guys were to say homes for sale in Kalispell, homes for sale in Whitefish, homes for sale whatever, like your specific areas that are popular, those are huge for dragging in people when they're going to the Google search and they want to search for a certain type of area or property type, okay? You're going to see down below are questions and answers. So this is also huge for bringing in people. Ask a question that most consumers in your area ask. What are commute times? Do we have to have 20% down payment? How do I get a house ready for sale? Like really look into like, what are the questions, what are the problems, and what are the solutions, and put those questions in. You can have somebody ask those questions and you can answer them right here on Google. That's huge. But specifically going into what really works is I look at the reviews. Do you guys see the bold words here in the reviews?
Yes.
So Google is looking for Google terminology. They're looking for specific things when people are searching. Like when somebody says best real estate agent in Kalispell, customer service, price, offers, listings, any of these trigger words, when people are going into search, Google looks at you and there's a signal on your entire Google My Business. And those things are typically words that will help you get seen, okay? Google wants to give you business. Google also wants a lot of content. So if you feed the Google machine content, you're going to get more eyeballs on you. Now, here's the beautiful thing. Since all of you guys don't have a Google My Business, I'm going to go ahead and assume that a lot of realtors in your area do not have a Google My Business. So the beautiful part about this is that when I first started doing this over a year ago, there was hardly anybody doing it in my area, especially the LSA ads, which I'll talk about in a minute. And I was getting lots of phone calls because very few, if any, realtors knew how to do any of this, right? Now, it is becoming a little bit more common practice for some realtors to know about this. And I've noticed in my area specifically, I'm in a very, very, very competitive market here in Portland. And so more and more agents have learned to do this. But the beauty of it for you guys is if not very many agents are doing this at a high level or at all, you're going to be way ahead of the curve. Okay. So this is why I'm teaching you guys and not like the masses, right? Like it is kind of one of those things where it's good to learn this and put it into practice before potentially somebody in your area starts picking up on this actually works, right? And as we scroll down, you'll see some posts that we do, which I'll talk about how we keep it updated and fresh. But the bottom line is this is Google My Business. Doesn't look like much, right? But when people go into Google and they're searching for a real estate agent, they're searching for something specific, you have the ability to pop up here and be a phone call for them, okay? So then I'll go back into my my dashboard so you guys can kind of see how you set this all up, okay? So this is the next step in all of this is how do you get this set up, and you got to do it correctly, okay? So this is where you want to take lots of notes here. Hold on a minute. Okay. I want you guys to be really paying attention to this part because this is the part where a lot of realtors or even businesses for that matter, they either don't know these tips or tricks or they don't set it up properly and they don't get the same type of results. And to be honest with you, I've played around with this a lot. I have screwed it up and I've gotten it right. So when I first got into this, I wanted to load this thing up with as much as I possibly could. But here's the thing about Google. Google is so freaking intelligent and they know when you're tricking them. So first of all, we're going to talk about how do you get this set up, and then we're going to talk about how do you feed this machine so that you guys get the phone calls, okay? Let's start with the very basic, but absolutely super important is at the top here. Do you guys see my name, Ann Stewart, Real Estate Agent Portland?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, you want your name in the title. Of course, you have to have your name in the title, but you also want keyword search type stuff, okay? So people Google real estate agent all the time in my area. So I have real estate agent in my profile, okay? You could use realtor. I've used realtor before as well, had good results. I've used my principal broker name and Stewart principal broker. That also gave me great results. That none of those are bad options. What you don't want to do is say something funky in your headline, okay? Most people will only put their name in there, but I highly recommend you put your name and then something about either your niche, your neighborhood, your city, or that you're just a real estate agent, okay? The reason why this is important is because this is one of the biggest signals that you're giving to Google about who you are and what you do. So when people type in real estate agent in my area, my name pops up because I have it in my title. But you have to be super careful with this because if you read the bylaws of Google My Business, which are really dry and boring, but I've done it, you can't overemphasize keywords and trick the system. Like you can't not have your name in there and just put only keywords and make it ridiculous because you could have your account shut down, okay? Google doesn't want you gaming the system too hard. There's a fine line of that title information, okay? The other thing is don't be more than one person. Like, let's say that I was a hairstylist in addition to a real estate agent. You do not want this to be Ann Stewart, real estate agent, hairstylist, Portland, right? You can't be multiple things. They want to see that you are specific on what your niche is. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Google has to know that this is what you do and you're not a bunch of different things, okay? The other thing, do you guys see down here where it says real estate agency? When you pop open this edit button, it will actually give you the option to be real estate agency, real estate agent, commercial. There's a whole list. Through all of my research, please put real estate agency as your primary, even though you are a real estate agent. The reason is because Google gives dominance to agencies over real estate consultants, okay? That's a big one. Upon starting your Google My Business, so you guys are going to be probably starting this week trying to create a Google My Business ad. Here's what's going to happen. They're going to say, what is your address? So before you do anything, make sure you think about this specific thing. You can use your home address. That is perfectly fine. If you work in your area, you like your neighborhood, you want to dominate your particular location, you can put down your home address. Google is going to send you a postcard the minute you put this in to verify you. You can't really do too many modifications till you get that postcard. It takes 1 week to get the postcard. They mail it to the address that you put here. There's a code on the postcard. You put it in and then you're verified. And then you can start going crazy with your Google My Business, okay? But the thing you don't want to do is change that address a whole bunch of times. Too many changes at once will also signal Google that you're making too many changes. So like when I first started doing this, see my service areas here, I put down like 20 different cities within the Portland metro area. Google doesn't want that. And it doesn't help you. You want to go deeper on where your kind of focus is versus all spread out and adding everything under the sun, right? Less is more in this case. So focus on the primary areas you like to work. Maybe it's a county, maybe it's a city specific. You can add quite a bit in here, but just be careful not to go like too crazy. Because one of the things I experimented with last year was I had like tons and tons of cities and counties in here. And at the point that I had that, I was like, gosh, I'm sure not getting phone calls. Well, I deleted a bunch. It was painful to do because I'm like, well, I do work that area, but I deleted around that area and that actually helped my rankings, okay? Because you have to think about the fact that Google has to show you to consumers, and the more and the wider you are, the more it stretches you out and makes you stretch thin, right? Like you're all of a sudden like not niching down. And Google's new algorithm that just came out in November, which you have to be mindful of, is called Vicinity, and it's all about being local. So the more you are local to the area that you are, to that address, the better. So yes, you can use a home address. If you rent a space, like I rent a little space in an area called Lake Oswego, and I use that address, and that has actually, you will find that whatever address you use, you get more phone calls within and around that particular city or area, okay? So if you don't like where you rent, like there's a lot of places here in Portland you can rent for like 50 bucks a month, 100 bucks a month, just to have the address, just so you have it on like your business cards. Because at EXP, we don't have brick and mortar, right? So that's actually a really good thing, by the way. Side note is agents who are at a brokerage with a lot of agents who are all using the same address for Google My Business actually decimates your rankings. So you don't want like 10 agents all using the same address or more and having a Google My Business, because they want to see that you're in a particular area, but they don't want like 10, 15 agents with the same address. That signals there's not a dominant agent in that ranking. Does that make sense? So really think about that. You cannot use PO boxes. Don't do a PO box. You can set it up without an address, but for real estate agents, it's really important to do it with an address because it will affect your rankings. So pick an address. Maybe it's your home. Maybe you rent a spot. Maybe you just pay a drop-in fee to an office space somewhere. But that's a really important thing because that address is going to base your vicinity rankings. Okay. Any questions on that? No? Okay. It's really important to fill out your profile. So like I said, it's going to take 1 week to get your postcard to verify you, and then you can do a lot more with your Google My Business. Make sure that you guys fill out your hours of operation. I'm going to make a recommendation. I actually, my hours of operation, like I stop working after 6:30 at night, but I have mine open till 9 because if your hours of operation will be shown to the consumer at which time they're sitting at their laptop or their phone looking. So if they're at 8 o'clock at night and they're like real estate agent near me and I'm closed down at 6:30, I don't get shown as much. So I just open that up to 9. You're not going to get phone calls late, but what you're trying to do is make sure the consumer, like Google will say, okay, Ann will look, accept calls or be open between 8 and 9. So if a consumer's online looking at night, it shows my profile. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. You can add special hours if you have holiday features. I don't touch those, but you can if you want to. Add your website link for sure. I have a Calendly, so I put that in there. I actually just had a buyer consultation with an $800,000 buyer about 2 weekends ago. He used the Calendly link off my Google, and he never like emailed me or nothing. I just got the appointment notification, and he was interviewing agents. So just be, if you have a Calendly link, or if you don't, they're 15 bucks a month. Not a bad way to go if somebody's, a little bit more into that virtual stuff. And you can add other things. I add in woman-owned business, wheelchair accessible. They have some COVID protocols you can put in there if you want. I actually did have somebody who chose us because of our COVID protocols, good, bad, or ugly. A little bio on you. You sell, you buy, you help people, whatever. And just set all this up as much as you can, content rich, okay? But you're gonna need to get your verification postcard before you can start really doing a lot with Google. It will not post you live until you get that postcard, okay? Any questions about setup? Okay, and also don't forget your cell phone number. Whatever number you guys choose, this is really, really important to put this on, okay?
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm going to keep my business going in Montana, but I'm moving to Florida. That'll be my primary area that I'll want to develop my business. So you're suggesting I wait till I get down to Florida, get my address, get a place to live because we don't have that yet, and then do all this.
A couple thoughts on that. So if you plan on keeping business running in Montana, you can certainly set one up in Montana. Just be mindful of the address. So if you're going to be moving to another location, just make sure set your address up now, and then that way you have it. Okay. You can actually make more than one Google My Business, you guys.
Okay.
So if you are planning on moving to another location, you're going to set up another Google My Business wherever you land. Okay. It's going to be totally separate. Okay. So I actually have 2 Google My Businesses. One I'm actually probably going to get rid of just because I came up with some random idea, but we're not really utilizing it. But if I were to open up another spot somewhere in the country, I would open up more than one Google My Business. Okay. The thing you want to be mindful of is if you're going to open up in 2 spots, make sure that your Montana people put reviews on your Montana, and your Florida people put your reviews on your Florida. Like, keep them totally separate, make them feel like it's a completely different thing. A lot of businesses have many, many Google My Businesses. There's actually big business in like franchise owners or people who own a lot of small businesses, or they have like various spots where they have their businesses. They have to do that because obviously it's location based, right? And there are companies out there. I actually utilize a company called Bright Local. They have a membership thing. You can track your Google My Business like rankings. They can help clean it up. They can add citations. They can also manage for you. So this is such big business for small business owners, especially with multiple locations, that they actually hire people to manage this, okay? Because you need to manage this when you get it going. You can't just set it and forget it. This is a living, breathing thing where you want to constantly add reviews. You want to constantly add photos. It is not hard to do this, but it does take some thought. So I will tell you, our strategy on our team is that we, 3 times a week, we are posting something, whether it's photos, and I'll show this to you. We're trying to get reviews consistently. So what you want to do, you guys, is let's go into insights here for just a minute so I can kind of show you. You can track how yours is doing, like day by day, month by month, year by year. So when I show you guys, like we're talking about phone calls, let's just go to the quarter. So the last quarter, I had 8 phone calls off of Google. Google tracks who calls you, whether they push on it when they're looking you up on their phone. They know who's calling you. They also know if you're missing your phone calls. If you miss a phone call from a Google, it hurts you. So call that person back. Like, it will show you when you have a missed phone call. Sometimes you're not paying attention, you don't know. That has happened to me, but I've called people back. In fact, true story, I had one gal call us who was moving here from San Francisco. She called twice and I missed it because I was having lunch and it was a long distance number. And you're probably like, maybe get tons of spam calls and you never know who's legit. I actually called her back right away because I thought, well, that's kind of weird. Maybe it is spammy. It was somebody who like put an offer sight unseen within 3 days. So phone calls are huge. You're going to find that phone calls are going to go, you can't predict phone calls, but a lot of what I'm going to show you here is, like I said, I had about 4 months last year where I had 0 phone calls. I could not figure out what happened. And I went back through and started to audit my Google My Business. I started to like minimize the number of cities I was using. I actually used this other service that somebody back east told me to use, which was totally bogus. Like, it's important to be like, don't hire a company to automate this too much because it is a part of being local. Okay. Google is smart. Remember I said Google knows if you're cheating the system. Don't hire people to do random reviews for you. Google will find out and they're going to shut you down, or they won't post them. I was a part of some real estate mastermind where we all thought it was a great idea that we would like post reviews for each other. And the guy that did the first review for me lived back east and he pretended he was the seller. Well, guess what? Google sent me a no-no notification saying that's not a legit review. So do not make this up. When you go to ask your clients for reviews, Google knows and their reviews will be shown. So, so those are phone calls. You guys also can see here photo reviews. When we're being super consistent in our business and posting photos, Google loves it. So let me go down to photos here for a minute. Get to 100 as fast as you can. You guys see our photos? I took a walk the other day. I was walking my dog. I took this picture of Mount Hood. It was in my neighborhood. Guess what? I posted on Google My Business and you can see how many people looked at it. 30 people had eyeballs in 1 week. We also cross-marinate our marketing. So all of our social media posts also go onto our Google My Business. Don't reinvent the wheel. If you take a picture, like one day, literally this was us in the office playing around. This was not a professional photographer. This was me taking pictures of my team member, Erica, and our assistant taking pictures of us. We modified the backgrounds and we posted it. I took a picture from one of the bridges. I posted it. Why am I doing this? See all the views here? Google loves photos. And by the way, every time you take a photo from your cell phone, it has a geotag. A geotag is that you're sitting in Portland, Lake Oswego, wherever you are, and it attaches the location. So when you post that on your photos for your Google My Business, Google will actually show your photos inside of Google. If somebody's Googling Mount Hood or Beaverton or whatever in my area, these photos show up. This is how you feed the machine. Google wants this information. Don't go buy a bunch of stock images and post those, because those stock images have the geotag from somewhere else in the country or the world. But you can buy stock images and re-geotag them. We did that. We've done that. That's where you go buy stock, like Adobe has like a subscription or membership to photos. You can go buy those and you can there's a free re-geotagger on Google if you Google it, and you can put your quadrant number on there. So you can do that. That's a higher level way to do it. Also, we use, does anybody use Box Brownie? Box Brownie is a virtual assistant. Like we have like it's gray here in Oregon a lot, so we don't oftentimes. So like for instance, here's a perfect example. This was a gray day that we got this photo taken of our listing. So we upload these to boxbrownie.com, which is for realtors all over the world. And within like 2 hours, they had it back to us with blue skies. But guess where Box Brownie is located? The Philippines. So we have to re-geotag our photos back to the address of this property when we get them back, because when they modify it, edit it, and save it and send it to us, it's geotagged in the Philippines. So that would hurt us, wouldn't it? Yeah. So the more localism, just think local. Google wants local, local, local. So when you're out and about having coffee, like here's a spot. I went to lunch one day with my hubby, took a photo of us eating lunch at this new restaurant. I posted it. It's kind of a boring photo. There's nothing exciting going on in here, but guess what? It brings Google juice. You want Google juice. I've had 89 people look at that. Fill this sucker up with all the listings you've ever sold. Like get to 100 photos. So there's an algorithm with the Google My Business that really jumps your views. When you get to 100 photos, Google says you're an authority. I'm going to show you more. You keep showing me pictures about houses in Portland and places to go and eat and sit and all that stuff, okay? You guys have 100 photos in your phone, I guarantee it. We all take 1 million photos of beautiful spots in our area, right? Your team, your clients, all that stuff. Here's the stuff we bought off stock images. That's not something we took, but we re-geotagged it because we wanted more photos, okay? And we repurposed. We bought these photos to put on our website. So if we bought them, might as well re-geotag them and repurpose them, right? Repurpose everything. Don't overthink this. I had a neighborhood Kona Ice event in the summertime. We took photos. I thought, let's put it up there. My marketing. I always bring a local fresh popcorn when I go for listing appointments. I took a picture of that. Why not? You're showing the public when they look through your photos. Our marketing. I was dropping some stuff off at a listing. I snapped a photo of what we do. That's great. The consumers go through your photos and see that. So not hard. That got almost 200 views. This one, look at this. This one got maybe more reviews. I don't know why, but we were being silly. We just went down the street to get coffee and we walked back to our office and there's my team member. I took a silly picture of her, got almost 369 reviews. Crazy, right? The other thing you guys can do is take videos. Google loves videos. So if you take a video of something, and I'm trying to show you, like I did a market report. I'm starting to do these. There's a guy in Ontario, Canada, who gets like 50,000 hits on his Google My Business. And he does 3 videos a week and they have to be 30 seconds or less. So I started doing these real estate market update, 30 seconds or less. And it's brilliant because you're like, okay, 30 seconds. Like, what can I talk about? Interest rates, inflation, whatever. Like just 1 or 2 or 3 topics you can quickly bust out. Post it. You do it right here from your phone. There's nothing fancy going on here. Okay. So get to 100 with photos. Post like a mad dog. Make sure they're local. If they're not local, but you still want to use them, re-geotag them. Okay. That's the secret sauce on photos. And keep adding. You're going to see at the top bar here, by owner, by customer. You know, fill this sucker up. Okay. And if you have an admin or a virtual assistant or you have time on your hands, just sit and start adding. Go crazy and don't stop. You need to continue to constantly add photos. Every time you take a listing, post all the photos. Every time maybe you're sitting in your car and you're looking at a beautiful house that you're waiting to meet a customer, take a picture of it and post it. Like everything, it's just like social media. It's just being really super conscious of where are you, what are you doing? And you may not find it interesting, but this adds to you. This helps you, okay? The other thing you want to do is products. When you take a listing, you want to post it on products. This is huge. And you want to use things that are Google friendly, like one-level homes in our area are sacred holy cows. We don't have enough of them. We've got so many people who are begging us for main level living. One-level homes in Southeast Portland, one-level home in Oregon City, townhome for sale in Southwest Portland. It goes on and on. If you Google some of these words and you know that they're hot words, post it. You know, Bull Mountain, that's an area I love to work. So when I post this, somebody who's typing in Google Bull Mountain, I have a higher chance of showing up in their searches. So go back in time. It doesn't have to be from here forward. You can go back in time and add in your previous sales. Just go back in time and get all the photos together and post like crazy, okay? Now, one other step we do, and this is kind of higher level, but it's huge. And this is like putting your Google My Business on steroids. This could be maybe a part 2, but when we post, we attach it to our blog on our website. That explodes the Google juice, okay? There's many reasons for that. So when somebody comes to this site and they're like, oh, wow, look at this house on, you know, whatever, if they push on this, it takes them to our website. Google knows when consumers go back and forth on your website from Google My Business. And the more they do that, the more the Google says you're an authority, you're local. They want to put you in front of consumers, okay? And again, this takes no time at all, but it matters in the big, and you can say, see it on Google, so you can kind of see how consumers, when they go to search, at the bottom here, there's all your listings or your products in their mind, okay? Okay, back to this. Don't worry about website. Don't touch this. It's not necessary. Leave this alone, okay? This is like if you didn't have a website. You guys all have websites, right? Okay, don't worry about this. Services is fine. Messages, nobody really comes off of this for me, so I'm not going to talk about it. You're going to get phone calls. You can check on these regularly. You're going to get calls from people. See, I had one missed call. That hurt me. Okay. Unfortunately, we got to be mindful about picking up the phone when we're dealing with Google My Business. Okay, let's talk about reviews. So the very first thing you're going to do when you get your Google My Business set up and continuously do is get as many flippin' reviews as you possibly can. Okay. Be mindful that every time you close a sale, that you ask that client for a review. Every time. Do not, and if you have to go back in time, do that. So I have Angie's List. I've spent years working on Angie's List reviews and got that up past 50. When I realized how important this Google My Business thing was, I was like, oh my gosh, like we've got to make it a thing. Have I been perfect? No. Has everybody I've ever asked give me a Google review given me one? No. People get busy or whatever, but this is what we do that has helped. And we have gone back, like we tried to hit 50 Google reviews before the end of January, which we did. Also, there's another algorithm. When you get to 50 reviews, you're supposed to theoretically go up in phone calls. And when you get to 100 reviews, you even go up further. So it doesn't mean when you're under 50 reviews, you don't get phone calls, because obviously I got phone calls this last year. But the point is this, you want to go to your best clients right now and say, hey, could you help me out? I will send you a Starbucks gift card for your time, because I did that with a few people, because I know it takes a little bit of effort. If you would take just a couple of minutes, I'm going to send you an email link with my Google My Business review. Would you take the minute to give me a 5-star review and say just, and I always laugh with them like, oh, don't be shy. I know how much you love me. Just let it all out, you know, just like go back to your previous clients and ask them if they just take a few minutes and really help you out. And most of these people love you, right? Like they are like, oh my God, I will totally do this for you, whatever. I even had some clients who are like, do not send me any gift cards. I am more than happy to do this. But if you feel like it's kind of like out of, you know, you haven't talked to them in a while and it's a big ask, say, hey, if you're willing to do this, I'm going to be sending you out a Starbucks gift card or whatever gift card you want to do. When you get close to closing and they're like, oh my gosh, Hillary, you were amazing. I love you. Thank you so much for helping us. Say, would you be willing to help me out? If I were to send you an email with a link, would you just take a couple of minutes to fill out a 5-star review? And I always use the word 5-star because I actually had a client that said, oh, I don't believe in 5-star reviews. I don't believe in the 5-star thing. So then you don't want to send them your link. You only want 5-star reviews. So if you think somebody's wildly unhappy with you or they're not willing to do a 5-star review, I would encourage you not to do that because it will affect your rank. Okay. It will affect your rankings. So when that client is super happy, maybe you're close to closing, maybe you're sitting at closing with them, maybe you're dropping off a gift or saying hello or dropping keys by or whatever it is, ask them if they would be so kind if you sent them, and do it right away. Don't miss a beat because people get really busy. I have found that when people are moving and they're stressed, there's way too much going on, and a lot of people forget to do that review. It's not that they don't want to do the review, but they forget. And when I notice somebody's busy or forgetful, but they're really intentional about wanting to give me that review, I touch bases with them 2 days later, say, I'm sure you have been so slammed. Did you get the email? Can I resend it to you? Make it easy for them to give you that review. That review is solid gold. Those reviews are going to make the difference on you getting more calls, people searching for you. And guess what? So many people are searching for you guys when they're going to work with you, or if they're interviewing. Are you guys up against competition like I am in my area? Or like, I mean, when I go in for a listing appointment, it is very common for somebody to be interviewing multiple brokers. Okay. You want to get to the point where you're like, hey, have you seen my reviews? Or post them in a link when you're going in for that pre-listing appointment. Say, hey, I'm so excited to meet you on Thursday at 1. Here are my 5-star Google reviews if you want to check me out, in addition to the references. Okay, this is going to put you in a prime spot for being on the edge. If you guys are in a competitive area like I am, every listing matters, doesn't it? Like, especially this year, like in Portland, we are at 0.6 months of inventory. We've never seen this low of inventory. It is a bloodbath to get a listing. So every time you go in for a listing appointment, every time you close a deal, every client you've ever known that's been happy, go back in time and it literally will matter. I know it feels like work to sit there and try to ask people for this stuff. This is what is going to change the game for your Google My Business review. This could mean the difference between somebody hiring you. Now, Hillary, I know you do some short-term rental stuff. This also works for you, darling. This is really huge. You could even set up 2 separate businesses for your rental business. Yeah. When people are buying properties and they need a management company, they're going to be searching for somebody.
Yeah, I have one set up for the Explore Montana rentals. I just haven't set one up yet for the real estate side.
Good.
But you're showing me lots of things that I need to, do with the one that I do have that just really is a very basic site so far.
Good. I want to hear from somebody that raise your hand if you think you're going to do this. I want to hear from somebody of a success story. Okay. Like I get off on helping agents do this kind of stuff. And this is our little secret private club of learning this stuff at a high level. But this stuff works. This gets you business. And guess what? You're not paying Zillow. You're not paying for all these lead systems out here. You're in control. You're in the driver's seat. You can put your reviews here and they're safe. And guess what? Google has big things coming down the pipeline. And they're going to say, for those people who are feeding the Google machine, they're going to continue to get fed by Google. I nerd out on this stuff. I literally read the Google driest material I can because I'm so obsessed with this. Because to me, it's like we as realtors need to take our businesses back and utilize systems and tools like what Google's giving us to control our future and not be like subject to paying for all these leads from like another entity. Do you guys agree with that? I mean, we're not paying for this. Yes, it takes time, right? I mean, you have to put the time in to add your photos consistently, to do the reviews. If you have an admin, if you have a virtual assistant, if I were on my own as a solo broker, I would pay a virtual assistant in 2 seconds to do this for me on the regular, 3 times a week. Get out your iPhone. We're all sitting on these things all day long. Do a freaking video 3 days a week and start posting it on this. 30 seconds or less, 720 DPI, which most of these things are set up that way. If not, go into your settings and do it that way. Okay. Okay, so we have 15 more minutes before the end of the hour. Your insights are going to be a great way for you to track how much searchability is happening on your site. You're going to start off low. It's going to get more. If you consistently add your photos, your products, your reviews, this sucker jumps and you can track. And hopefully your phone calls start jumping as well. You can see, look, in the last month, 51 visitors to my website. 1 person got driving directions. I didn't have any phone calls. Actually, that's not true. I did have a phone call, so I'm not sure what that's all about. And nobody really messages me off of this thing, but that's okay. There's just a lot of insights here that you guys can check out over time, okay? Now, let's talk about the last 15 minutes. I want to put a little focus on something else, which is equally as important. But I want you to set up your Google My Business first. Hear me out. This is huge. Google My Business first. Once you get the postcard for your address and you have verified your Google My Business, then move on to this next step. Do not do it beforehand, because what happens is if you set up your LSA ad, which is the next step in all of this, before you do your Google and you've painstakingly gotten your Google reviews, you're going to have 2 separate accounts for Google reviews. It's a pain in the ass. And you don't want to go down that road if you don't have to. You can correct it, but it's not without pain and agony. So everybody hear me out. Google My Business first. Get your postcard, verify your account, start getting reviews on this. 1 week from today, you could have that postcard and you could start putting reviews on this. Then the next step in all of this, the Power Pack Punch, the thing that's going to double down on your efforts, is this very next step. So let me go to stop share for a minute so I can make sure I can pull this up here. Okay, I'm going to show you a screen. Okay, can everyone see this?
Yes.
Okay. So I experimented this morning. Real estate agents in Lake Oswego. I am not in the 3-pack right now. That doesn't mean I'm not. Google rotates realtors in the 3-pack up above. When you go to real estate agents in Lake Oswego, to be the first up above here is powerful. Same with your area. If you go right now on Google to wherever location you're at, you might start seeing some realtors up here, okay? The thing that you need to this is called Google Screens, Google Guarantee, or Local Service Ads. There are 3 words for the same thing, okay? They're all the same. You want to get in this 3-pack as fast as you can. You will notice there's somebody up here with only 2 reviews. You will notice somebody's only got 14 reviews at 4.7, and you will notice, that's funny. This guy's the #1 Sotheby's agent in our area. He just moved to EXP like a week and a half ago. And then there's this guy. This is kind of funny. So he is always in the top. He has 707 reviews. I'm going to tell you right now that he has probably gotten trained on this. When you get to, he was only at like 100 reviews not that long ago. So he's gaming the system. It is working for him. I'm not sure if he just had somebody sit on the phone and get 700 reviews. He doesn't sell any more homes than I do, so I'm a little suspicious. But regardless, it's working for him. The more reviews you get, a lot of these guys who have 100+ reviews, they sit on this 3-pack. They're always in the 3-pack. So if you have been in business a long time and you wanted to make it your mission to get to 100 reviews, guess what? You can do it. Our goal on our team this year is to get to 100 reviews, and we can do it. We are going to have to go back to a few people that we know would write them. There's going to be naturally people who forget and don't do it that are going to be happy with us. But get as many reviews as you can as fast as you can. Even if it's like a friend. Like I have a brand new agent, and I'm like, you don't have a lot of proof in your work yet, but your friends know how you work. Your past coworkers, like you can make a generic review that would be just as equal to a true past client. So I don't want you guys to feel like just because you don't do a ton of business or you haven't been in it that long or whatever, like get all your buddies together and say, I need your help. Here is one big tip. Do not get a review from the same, like if you have a husband and wife that live in the same house and you say to them, both of you write separate reviews, Google will know it's a lie because they track the IP addresses. So if somebody's living in the same house, do not try to get everybody in that same house to write your review. It won't work. Just be mindful of stuff like that. Google is smart. Guess what you can also do? You can have another real estate agent write you a review. Like if you sent a referral somewhere or somebody sent you a referral and they love sending you referrals because you take good care of their people, they can write a review. They don't have to say, they don't have to lie and say they bought or sold through you. You can say, hey, I send all of my referral business to Stephanie because she takes such good care of my clients when they're moving out to Kalispell. So if you have good referral partners, lenders, people like that who can speak for you, absolutely, they can write a nice review for you. your title people, people that know, like, and trust you. That's really the name of the game. Okay. So the LSA, how in the heck do you get on this top precious board? So we have 9 minutes before the hour. So I'm going to kind of show you something. Let me see if I can pull it up. So if you guys go to, and again, you're going to do what before you do this? You're going to set up your Google My Business.
Rhonda, you know Stephanie can't concentrate if she sees a dog, so you might have to put your dog down.
We like the puppies. Okay, if you guys go, after you get your Google My Business set up, can't stress that enough, you're going to type into Google, Google Guaranteed, Google Guaranteed, and you're going to follow the steps for the local service ad application. This takes a bit of time. It's a little bit of a process. It is worth it. Okay, so you get to this page from Google Guaranteed. After you set up your Google My Business is verified, you sign in, and this might not show it the way it should because I'm already signed up. Do you guys see these two references to my name? So I'm going to go into the one that I'm using. I don't know that it's going to show you the setup because I'm already set up. Okay, it's not going to show it to you, but here's the deal. If this were a brand new, I'm setting up my brand new local service ad, Google Guarantee, local service ads, whatever you want to call it. It's going to ask you for some information to verify you. It's going to ask you for a picture of yourself. So use one you usually use in Google or websites. It's going to ask you for your license information. They're going to do a background check on you from Pinkerton. Super simple, not hard. Hopefully none of you are convicts. They're also going to ask for a copy of your E&O insurance. And at EXP, you go into your workplace, state. Usually it's in the file part of your workplace. If you don't know where it is, ask Hillary. She probably knows, but it's really simple. It's a one-page E&O insurance document. You upload that. They have to get a copy of that. And then they ask you like a couple other verification questions. It may take you 3 to 4 weeks to get verified. Pinkerton's about 2 weeks. That's the background check. They have somebody that literally looks at your E&O insurance to make sure it's updated, which, by the way, side note, one of the reasons why I stopped getting phone calls and so forth is because our E&O insurance was expiring in October. I did not know that. It took me like 3 weeks to figure out what was going on. So just remember, whenever you put it in your calendar, when your E&O insurance expires, go back and get the updated one and upload it. Okay. But when you fill all that stuff out, and you can do that pretty quickly, it does take I've seen people get verified within 2 weeks, but mine took 3.5. Okay. Once you are verified, you show up in that 3-pack and it attaches then to your Google My Business. Okay. So when we go back to the local, let me see if I can pull that back up here. Sorry, hold on 1 second. There we go. When we go back to the local service ads up here, the 3-pack, and you're verified, you show up in this 3-pack at some point. In my location now, when I first started this, there was only about 2 or 3 of us. Now there's like a gob of people. Okay. I'm in a highly competitive area. Plus I've taught this to some of my local EXP agents. So now they're doing it. I feel like there's enough business for everybody, and I want our EXP people to succeed. But there's a lot of people who do not know the correlation between Google My Business and LSA ads. If you do both of them at the level I'm talking about, you're going to outrank and get way more phone calls than all these other guys who only know how to do 1 or 2 of these steps. Okay. And then you'll see, like I said, you don't have to have 1 million reviews to get on this local 3-pack. Just get verified. It takes about 2 to 4 weeks, depending on their process. Okay. And this rotates. Sometimes I do this and I Google and I see I'm in there, and sometimes I'm not, because there's a lot of agents now in my area who have this particular thing. But what they do not have is the Google My Business. So here's the thing. There's an agent that I know of that is in the local pack up here, but he completely set up his Google service ad wrong. He set that up before he set his Google My Business. So if you see his Google My Business, he's got like 30+ reviews, but his local service ad has like 4. because he did the opposite. That's why I'm telling you, get your Google My Business set up. And once that's set up and verified, then do your Google service ad, because you want all of your reviews, like my 50 reviews, to show up in my local service ad. Every time I get a review, it's already attached to my LSA and it shows 50 plus reviews, right? I had another account that got screwed up in, so I had to re-correlate everything. It was a pain in the ass. So don't do what I did wrong, or many people do.
Awesome, man. She's really awesome information.
Yeah, and like I said, like, make it a point. We do this as part of our, like, whatever you want to call lead generation. 3 days a week, we are posting photos. We're going to post a 30-second video. We're going to post a review. Like, we try to do some correlation of that medley every week. Some weeks are better than others. Sometimes we get super slammed. We don't post as much or any, but we've been pretty good about trying to post stuff or repurpose. Like my assistant does a lot of my social media posts. She takes that stuff and she'll repurpose it on the Google My Business, right?
Right.
Like I said, you cannot post more than a 30-second video on Google My Business. But if you ever want to do another one of these, if you have a blog on your website or a place where you post your videos on your website, it's a power pack punch to do your videos and everything on your website and then attach a post. There's a whole sector we didn't kind of cover this morning where you can attach. And that's another thing, is Google also wants to see your website. There's a lot more to this. I don't know how nerd out, you guys want to get on this. The most important thing is get it set up. Start working on it that way. This is like your basic level 101 Google My Business. Once all that's set up, if you guys are really like jamming it out and wanting to learn at a higher level, we can do another part 2 that'll kind of really take it up a notch. But you have to feed the machine. I always tell people, don't just do it and then like expect the phone to ring. You do have to get the level of calls that we have gotten, you have to put some time into it, right? Like, this is free, but you still have to put some work into it, right? But I don't know about you, but to get the level of business we've gotten over the last year off of it without having to pay referral fees or Zillow or any of the other, it's just our time, it's just being like, put it in your content calendar along with your social media.
That's awesome. That's really, really awesome. Good project for us all to spend some time on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
Yeah.
When you screenshot a photo, does that reset the geotag?
No, you can screenshot.
Like if I were to take a photo somewhere else and screenshot it, like here or whatever, like, will that reset the geotag so it's then like a local photo?
It should, because you're doing it on your phone. I haven't cross-checked that because you can take any photo and upload it to the geotagger and it will tell you what the coordinates are, if it's local or not.
Okay.
But if you're screen capturing, you're doing it right on your phone. It's just taking the picture on your phone. So I would imagine it would have your local coordinates. But again, I haven't verified that, but that would be my logic.
Okay.
It's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question. If you do YouTube videos,
Mhm.
can you link YouTube over, or is that a whole different world? Isn't YouTube owned by Facebook?
YouTube is owned by Google, and what you need to do with those, so we do that, but you have to create, so like, let me go back into my share real quick. I'll show you what that looks like. So one of the things you're going to do regularly when you get this really humming and going is called posting. So 3 times a week, do you guys see these posts right here in the middle?
Yep.
These are like informationals that help to bring in the Google juice. But one of the things we do is, like, this is a YouTube video right here. So when somebody pushes on learn more, you can't put YouTube directly on your Google My Business, but you can attach it to your website or your YouTube channel. I guess we have it to our YouTube channel. So it's taking them to my YouTube channel where all of a sudden it's like, okay, here's my, I'm putting it on mute so you guys don't get blasted, but this is my real estate market report. So yes, you can do this. So you just, how you set it up is, see, all of these are like learn more. Some of these are attached to our website. So you would go into post and let's see here, you go to offers or what's new. And this is post your first offer. We haven't done offers, what's new. I think it's what's new is the one to do it. So here's at the top bar, you'd go into like what's new. You could put your photo or your video here or a picture of it, type in your post, and then learn more. So you attach it to your website, your YouTube channel, whatever. It's not like they don't house it directly on the site. They take it away and off the Google My Business page. So you could put a thumbnail or a picture of your video right here, and then put the link to the YouTube channel or your blog or your website right here to learn more. Don't do anything with the COVID-19 update up here. Offers are kind of wonky. I always do what's new. An event is not bad, but it will expire at some point. So like if you're going to do a home buyer's workshop or a seller's workshop, you could do an event here and it will post it on. So there's actually, we haven't experimented with this, but there's somebody I know who's done like a seller seminar and it really did awesome on this.
That's cool.
Yeah, there's a lot more you can do to it to geek out on it, but this is to get you guys started and get you going.
Awesome.
Okay, I've got a really, I don't know, probably really rookie question here. To get this started, I go to my Gmail and my account, and then where would I find the to set up what's my business? Or
Great question. That is not stupid at all. In fact, let's just go through that. So when you guys have your email, let me see if I can share my screen here. Okay, when you go into your Gmail, does everybody here have Gmail?
yes,
Thank God,
yes,
because you have to have it. I'm gonna open up my email, see my email here. You guys see this little button over here that has the 6 over here, the little button, push on that. Scroll down to business. See this little like house with the G on it that says business profile? Push on that. And it's gonna take you to your business profile. It's gonna open up a thing that says, do you wanna set it up? See how I have 2 here? This is the one I don't use, we're gonna get rid of, but it'll show you all the Google My Business profiles you have, or it'll say it's time to create one. That's how you set it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
How'd you do that store code?
Your store code, so see where it says verified under status?
Mm-hmm.
You only get that when you get the postcard and you implement the button. So what it'll say is it'll bring something up that says, after you set up your address, it will not verify you or show your Google My Business until you're verified. That's where the postcard will be mailed to you within 1 week. You'll get a code and you'll type in that code. And that's when it'll show your store code and your status verified.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, because I got that postcard for the one I set up, but I don't think I put in a code if there was one. So I'll have to try to find that.
And by the way, you can reorder your postcard. If you have trouble, like if it's not working or you lost your postcard or you forgot to input it, you can reorder it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
and the camera, the Zoom call people were blocking what you were doing. Could you do that one more time? Where I didn't see where you were hitting that from the very beginning.
You bet. So if I go to my, actually, let me go back so I can show it to you again. Okay, so open up your Gmail account. When you have your Gmail account open, right? Go to the upper right-hand corner where there's these little dots. You guys see where it says, there's a little like settings button and right next to it is the little dots.
Okay.
Push on that, scroll down till you get to business profile.
Okay.
Open that up and it's going to open up the page where you start to set up.
Okay, that's I had everybody's pictures blocking that, so I couldn't see that. So okay,
Yep.
Perfect. I just need to know where the starting line is.
No problem.
And I've done all the basic setup, like I said, so if anybody has any questions about, you know, kind of the beginning stuff, let me know and I can probably help.
Yeah.
Okay.
And sometimes it's like, I had this guy on my call a few weeks ago that I helped and he had a Google My Business. He didn't quite have it set up all perfectly, right? Like, I mean, this is a lot to cover in an hour and just get your Google My Business set up. If you guys wanted at a later date to do like a Google My Business audit where we just kind of go through and make sure you guys have it set up correctly with all the right things, we can certainly do that. It is important to get it set up correctly.
For sure.
All right, well, we are almost 10 minutes past the hour. Does anybody have any other questions? Was this helpful?
Yes.
Yes,
Very.
this is awesome.
Okay,
Thank
well,
you.
you guys do me a favor. All I ask is if you have some good successes off of this, just share it with Hillary or share it with me. I always like to know if people are, benefiting from some of this stuff because it's so cool. I think it's wonderful that we have this ability and, so many realtors don't know about this. So many business owners honestly don't know about this. And it really can be, it's lovely to get a phone call from somebody's like, oh, I've read your reviews and I'm on here and I want to list or sell my house or buy a house,
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for taking
You're so
your
welcome,
time.
you guys. All right, well, you guys have a wonderful day.
Hey,
All
you
right.
too,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you.
And Hillary, I'll get you a recording of this so you can pass it around if you need to.
All right.
Yeah,
Thank
Hillary,
you.
I'd love a copy of it because I want to watch it again.
You got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good to
Okay.
see
All right,
you.
guys. See you later. Have a good day.
Bye.